Welcome. My name is Doreen Milano, and you have tuned in to Big Ideas Small Business. And today's guest is Tim Mullaney. He is a financial professional, and we are going to get the first-hand look at his book, How Money Works. Don't be a sucker.
You're tuned in to Big Ideas Small Business with Doreen Milano. Doreen brings energy, focus, and creativity with the most cutting-edge tools and systems needed to grow business, drive profits, and achieve dreams. Ready to rise? Here's your host, Doreen Milano.
And this is relevant to business owners because why?
Well, first thing, I wish I had written the book, but Tom Matthews and Steve Siebold wrote the book. And another gentleman named Andy Horner did all the depictions inside the book. And the name of the book is How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker. And stop being a sucker kind of sounds in your face, but the reality is that every time or at some point in anyone's life, you probably have felt like a sucker when it comes to money. And so this book is what I would say a great start for someone. I know my first book when I started studying finance was 300-400 pages long. But what Tom and Andy and Steve have done is they've taken 300 to 400 page book and they've condensed it down to...
That is not a 300-page book.
It's 100 pages, maybe 107. It takes 20 minutes. It's built for a 14-year-old. It's got pictures in it. But it brings in
so
seven important concepts.
So a busy professional could actually read this in an hour or two?
Absolutely. And it's important that they do because what it is, it brings out the most important concepts that everyone needs to be thinking about, including the employees. And that part, I think, is really very important, just the different concepts alone.
That's amazing. So when we're talking about how money works from the lens of a business professional, such as a business owner or a solopreneur, something along those lines,
right.
What is really important for them to know right off the bat?
Right off the bat, everything always boils down to cash flow when you're running a business. I've been running my business for 19 years. I love being in business. I know earlier we were talking about, how often do you restart your business? And you know what? Yeah. We restart our businesses every Monday morning if we have to, right? Whatever it takes, because it's our business. But for me, what really has transpired the business itself is the fact that when Tom and Andy and Steve wrote this book and brought this out, it was one of the best tools I've ever had for my clients and for the folks I help, especially the businesses. Because what happens with a business is, as a business entrepreneur will get out there and work very, very hard in their business, and they will build something very strong, right? Because they've got their heart into it. It's their baby. But what happens is they forget about themselves along the way. And when they forget about themselves, it means they're not saving for retirement. They're not doing the principles that are outlined in this book that everyone needs to do. Just the rule of 72 alone is one of the concepts that we cover in the book. And that concept we'll talk about later. But the fact is that people need to save money for retirement. Everyone that owns a business usually does one thing. They put all their money back into the business. They get out to their older ages thinking that they can live off of that. And guess what happens? They didn't save enough. And you know what? The only thing you have on your side is time. Time and consistency help to make for your retirement. And so it's very important for people to understand that, to start saving at an early enough age to where they can get some help. So my best advice to small business owners is to, number one, get with a financial professional. Make sure that you take the time to not only learn about your business and put the information about your business out there and go make money, but don't forget that you need to save some for your family.
So how important is it for a business owner to make this book available as an employee benefit so that employees can actually understand how money works?
Mm-hmm. Well, I have a really strong view on that. And that view is this, that if I own a business, which I do, and I grew up under one of the best business mentors I believe, in the world. My previous life was with an airline, and Herb Kelleher was my boss. And if anybody knows Herb Kelleher, knows anything about Herb, you know that he had the integrity of the moon. I mean, he was phenomenal. But he also knew that the employee came first. Well, as a business owner, I always want to make sure that my employees or the people that I work with come first. So what I like about this book is that everyone needs to know this information. So as an employer, making sure that this type of information is available for your employees is paramount. Because an employee that actually understands how money works, they're not in debt. They don't have those issues around. They know how to take care of their cash flow.
Or they can start to get out of debt.
Or, exactly. Or if they are, they have tools and we have ways to help them learn how to make the money work properly for them. And you know what? A person who actually has money in the bank, who has an emergency fund, but I don't like to call it an emergency fund. I call it an opportunity fund, because the other morning I had an opportunity to buy 4 new tires. And not most people don't have an opportunity to have to buy 4 new tires. Most of the time they do that on a credit card.
Right.
And because I have money on the side for those types of things, I was prepared for that. And not everybody has that. And so if you own a business and you have employees and they're financially prepared with the knowledge, guess what? They're probably better employees. Your business will probably do better in the long run.
Absolutely. So when we're talking about financial education, right, it's a big, broad subject, and there's all kinds of companies out there that provide financial education.
Right.
But I've read the book, and from what I understand and what I've experienced in the past, most financial education pieces that you come across, they're not fun. They're not educational. You don't read something and go, oh, I can apply that here.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And it takes there's a lot of resistance to consuming that kind of education.
Well, it puts you to sleep. I mean,
Well, that's part of it. Yeah, it's a great paperweight, and it's a great way to put yourself to sleep. So you
Right.
pick it up 10 minutes before you want to go to bed, and you're done.
So the concept behind this book, though, is to make it fun. There are several characters. There's 8 characters in this book, and each character has their own personality. So through those personalities, you actually learn the different concepts. And they bounce it around, and they kick it around saying, hey, well, what about this? Well, I don't believe this. I believe that. And you start kind of watching how they react. I know that when I was very interested in finance, when I was in my previous life, so to speak, I read everything I could on money. I read Money Magazine. I read one person's finances. I was always comparing myself to others. This book actually helps with that, because now you know the concepts of what types of things you should be doing. What are the most important pieces to help yourself with? One of the things that we have as a follow-up with this book is we've created videos that are on each of the chapters and a complete training model or module for it. So our office now has gone from just a planning office to it's a How Money Works learning center. Because with a learning center, we can actually bring folks in and teach them and bring
So
businesses in.
you have classes that I could sign up for.
You absolutely, and we can do them virtually or in person. So we do that every Tuesday night. We run a virtual class. And on demand, we can run virtual classes, and we have videos to back all that up.
So if a company is having an all-employee business meeting,
Right.
it's possible for them to put up a screen and go through the training class
Absolutely.
so that everybody gets the information at once.
Right, exactly. And we have 2 parts to it. And the first part is talking about the concept. And then the second part is a deep dive into each of the concepts. And really, after both of those classes, maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours worth of total learning, that person is better equipped to make decisions. I believe that people can make really good decisions if they have the knowledge in them. The problem we have in this society today is that most people are financially illiterate. 30% of the population, approximately doesn't really know how money works. Did you learn how money works in school?
Oh, absolutely not.
Right.
It was through hard knocks.
It was through hard knocks. I didn't have a class on it. One thing that our firm has done and our company has done is try to actually get legislature behind this book and to get it into schools and to get this type of. When we launched this in October of this last year, we had already printed 150,000 copies. They now have rocketed around 350,000 copies of this book. That's a pretty fast growth period for a book
Now,
these days.
where can somebody get a copy of the book?
You can actually get this book on Amazon, But if you'd like a copy of the book, I would say contact you and contact this show, and we'll be glad to make sure that we provide one of those for you, and at no charge. You might have to come pick it up, but no, somehow or another we would make sure that you get a copy. I think it's important, just the information alone, for people to have this book. What I find that's funny is that I gave you a few of the books, and, and what did you do? You were giving them out.
I was giving them out fast.
Right.
I could read a chapter, and then I'd meet with somebody, and I said, they'd go, "What are you reading?" And I go, "Here,
read this.
Read this." And
mm-hmm.
What I gave out probably half a dozen copies.
Exactly.
At least.
Exactly. They're great Christmas presents. They're great stocking stuffers.
Yes.
But the key is that a 14-year-old can read it. But the reality is the parents need it more than the 14-year-old. And the business owners need it because they need to know those same principles for themselves. As a business owner, everyone that owns a business, they have that mindset. I have that mindset of I would like to be able to have a lifestyle one day, right? There's no such word as retirement anymore. It's a work optional life. I would like to be able to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, whenever I want to do it, and have the money to be able to handle that. Where else do you learn that?
Well, if we look at what's going on in the business communities right now, they've had to take out PPP loans,
right?
The EIDL loans, so on and so forth. So now we have business that is in debt.
Right.
We have employees that are scratching to make everything meet.
It's a complete change from where we are. I'm not sure, but I tell you, timing couldn't be better for people to have this information in front of them. If you're at home and not working and you need something to think about, you know what? This is a great place to start because you won't fall asleep when you read it, number one. But number two, the information is just so important. And our next generation of entrepreneurs, our next generation of kids, you know what? We need to bring them up on this information. It can't be hidden from anyone anymore. It's got to be out there. This stuff has got to be taught. Just the basics on, and I think we're going to cover that in our next segment. We'll cover some of that. But that alone, I tell you, stop being a sucker is really the truth. The minute you have some knowledge, you will never get suckered again.
What is your number one action item other than reading the book?
That's a great question. The number one action item than reading the book is start now. Start saving money now. Start realizing that you cannot, the only thing you can do to increase your cash flow, right, is either earn more money or spend less. It's pretty simple.
But saving as little as $5 is a huge step.
Well, $7 a day is a couple of trips to Starbucks, or maybe 1.5 trips, or maybe just one trip to Starbucks. And I don't want to kill Starbucks because I love their products. However, $7 a day is $210 a month, which is $2,500 a year. Everyone can save $2,500 a year. If you're 15 years old, you should be saving $2,500 a year that your parents are giving you to go blow. Everyone has blow money. They just blow it. How much did you spend on the way to work, or how much did you spend each day? I don't even care if you write it down. All I care is that you spent it.
There you go.
And then don't spend it.
We're going to take a break right now, and we'll come back in a moment with Tim Mullaney, and we're going to talk about behind the doors in his business.
At WorkSuites, get back to work your way. Business addresses, co-working, executive office suites. We really thrive on helping small businesses expand their horizons from simply working out of their home. What's really nice is we're flexible with our terms. We don't require you to sign a lease with us, go month to month, or stay a couple years. You may only need a part-time space. You'll have a full kitchen, covered garage access. This is the ideal way to work through the transition in your business and get you up to speed quickly. Private offices have dedicated Wi-Fi, furniture, 24/7 access. Call 888-445-9675 and check us out at worksuites.com to schedule your tour. You're going to love it here. 888-445-9675.
Welcome back to Big Ideas Small Business with Tim Mullaney, and we are going to talk to him about being a financial professional,
Yes.
and one of the things I know has happened in your business is that you have consolidated and moved your business.
Yes, recently.
And so when we go through things like this, we have to go through a short startup mode and really focus on what's going to be next, how it's going to work. You had to make a huge investment in infrastructure,
Right.
right? So tell us a little bit about that transition.
So, it's interesting as I like to look at what we've recently done is made our business COVID friendly. Because what we found ourselves doing is I've been in business for around 20 years, actually 19 plus years. And when you grow through the process, you wind up accumulating a lot, right? And we had rooms that were set up technology-wise. We had all kinds of space. But when COVID happened, everyone started working from home, which was fine. And for us, we were prepared to be in the homes of other people through Zoom and through different types of meetings electronically. But the problems we ran into were the fact that I would walk down the hallway knowing full well that I was paying rent and the halls were empty. And every time I'd walk down the hall, I just kept getting a little more ticked off, I guess you could say, kind of going, why are we spending the money on this? This is ridiculous. This is not cash flow friendly. This is only doing the things that we don't need. And our landlord was very gracious, and he worked out. They had another building, and we were able to shift from a larger office to a smaller office and make it more COVID friendly. And the reality is it helped us with the amount of money that we have to put out per month, and it made us right size ourselves for the future, because going forward, we won't need that kind of office space because that's not how this business is operating any longer.
Now, you actually were proactive
Right.
and went and talked to your landlord.
Absolutely.
And because they owned multiple buildings,
Right.
they were able to work something out.
Right.
They were able to shift the lease, so to
Right.
speak.
And I will say that by doing that, and there was some give and take through the whole process, but knowing that you're not going out of business, that you're just resizing and being more designed properly for the future, then there's not really a problem when you're doing that, because they're going to keep you as a lease. I'll do a longer lease if we can just right size what we need. And we changed an awful lot on how that structure works. And it really is amazing how different it is when you walk into your own business. I mean, you labor in your business when you own it. It's a labor of love. You're there,
Absolutely.
you're all in. But when you're all in and things are not working the way you'd like them to work, then it gets pretty frustrating, and so you've got to come up with solutions. So being nimble is very important these days in business.
Now, would you recognize that you chose to go back into a startup mode?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And so for your business, what does that startup mode look like?
Startup mode for us was obviously finding less office space and using less office space because we know that it's not necessary. Startup mode for us is to go back to basics. What works the best when you are helping clients, when you're helping people, when you're out educating? This business is a very important business. There's in the Dallas area alone, there is a ton of folks that are out that are financial professionals that are helping people with how money works in so many ways. So the competition is pretty fierce. So you have to have something that makes you stand out. And for us, we went back to basics, and the basics were education. We knew that it was important for us to educate people properly and also to grab their ear on what is important. We have some great concepts inside our book that allow people to think a little different, and to just to help their families alone.
So Tim, what I'm hearing here is that you took a hard look at the culture that you had in your business.
Correct.
And that you shifted one of your core values to be more in front.
Right.
And built a new culture around that core value of education.
Yeah, and I will say that the COVID actually was a positive, and people wouldn't think that, but COVID was a positive for us, because what happens is that everyone that we normally would go and see in person or have them come to our office, they were being made to stay home, and even their doctor appointments were being done via Zoom or being some other. You experienced that with your running. What was great for us is we were already teaching that, and all of a sudden now everyone knows and they accept it. So for us, we got busier. So because we were prepared in some ways, it made it even easier for us to actually help our clients.
And so do you believe that coaches help financial professionals move their business forward?
Absolutely. And I did that myself, and still to this day have coaches, because to me, if you don't have someone helping you through those business decisions, or just in the way that you approach your day, or you're approaching contact, or what are you focusing on, just as the conversations we've had. And I mean, Doreen, you do a phenomenal job with people when you ask questions. I just love working with you. To me, it's like you just point out the obvious. I think an entrepreneur will do the work, but sometimes they have to be
the obvious isn't always obvious.
Doesn't always present itself because we are emotional beings, right? We are emotionally in our business.
So tell people how to contact you.
Well, the easiest way to contact me is probably go to our website. We have a website that's called WealthWave, Crusade.com. Or you can go to wealthwave.com and then / my name, Tim Mullaney. And that's the easiest way to get to my site. And there's a lot of education on there about this book. And it's a great business. I love what I do. I'm 60 years old and I love what I do. How many people do you know that are 60 that love what they do?
Not many.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us. We were really happy to have you. Hope you got to learn something new today, and we'll see you the next time on Big Ideas, Small Business.
This has been Big Ideas Small Business with Doreen Milano. Doreen Milano solves problems for small and mid-market family-owned businesses and service-based industries. To work with Doreen, go to visionstoexcellence.com. For guest and sponsorship information, call 650-483-5798. Big Ideas Small Business with Doreen Milano is produced by Offbeat Business Media for the OBBM Network. For OBBM Network programming information, call 214-714-0495. Unauthorized use of any part of Big Ideas Small Business with Doreen Milano without prior permission through the OBBM Network is strictly prohibited.